Welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hello, this is Jessica, and I'm here with...
This is Elliot Olshansky.
And we're going to turn the page with Syosset Library Podcast. Welcome, Elliot.
Thanks for having me, Jessica. I'm really excited to talk with you today. It's an exciting time.
It is an exciting time. So really quickly, Elliot, you lived in Syosset for how long?
About 14 years. We moved to Syosset from Baltimore when I was 2, so that would have been 1984, and then we moved in 1998. So I was about halfway through Syosset High School. My dad changed jobs, and it just became a better fit for us to move up to Westchester.
But it's cool because we're going to claim you as one of our own because you've been up to some really exciting things. So really quickly, did you go to elementary school in Syosset?
Yes, I did. I went to Berry Hill in 4th and 5th grade. Before that, there was a Jewish day school. It was originally called the Liberal Jewish Day School and then changed to American Jewish Academy. It was in West Hempstead and then Roslyn, and it shut down right around the time I was finishing 3rd grade. But it's certainly been... I spent a lot of time at the Syosset Library. I remember the summer reading program with there was a mystery themed one, which was great because I was very big on Encyclopedia Brown in those early elementary school years, and my sheet with those little magnifying glass stickers.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny. So the Summer Reading Club, we're still doing it, and I feel like, they do rebrand certain themes every year. So mystery has come up a few times, and I spent a while in the children's room before doing my current position. So it was always very exciting, and I love watching children grow up, and it's really very cool. But we've I don't know if you've been back here recently. We've expanded since 1998. In 2007, we finished a construction. And it was, and now we've got a lot of space, and so I do. If you have not stopped by, I do encourage you to do so because we've changed.
I'd certainly like to do that at some point. We certainly, having 2 kids under 5, we spend a fair amount of time at the libraries in Suffolk County. I live in Comac, and the Comac Library is definitely a regular stop for us, and I've gone to a lot of programs there and done things. And actually, when I originally moved back out to Long Island in 2012, we were in Hauppauge, in the part of Hauppauge where we were Smithtown Library patrons, and one of my favorites was one of my favorite things to do with my son. They actually brought somebody in a Daniel Tiger costume out to the Wisconsin branch of the Smithtown Library and bringing him there. He still loves any library we go to. It's so much fun to bring him.
That's awesome. We just redid our playroom, and it's now the Play and Learn Center, and it's really cool. So if you're around, come by. But so to jump into it. So would you like to talk a little bit about what you've been doing, about your videos, about what's going on?
Well, yeah, I've been had the opportunity for the last couple of years to work with the Jewish A Capella group 613 on some of their holiday-themed parody videos. I started working with them, I guess it would have been the end of 2016, if I remember. Yeah, of course it would have been the end of 2016 because that was when they had the opportunity to sing for the Obamas at their last White House Hanukkah party, and that was the year that I started working with them. And
what a year to start working with them.
Yeah, it came up because I've been doing little parody songs for about a year at that, actually almost 2 years at that point. for the Tony Kornheiser show, which at the time was a radio show and is now exclusively a podcast, and just been doing little writing projects here and there. Just in spare time with friends I made through the show. It's an interesting little community that's grown up around the Kornheiser show, the so-called Littles, and just they had done something about Tony to the opening number from Hamilton, and that just kind of planted this seed in my head that it's possible to, which is and we'll get to this in a second. It's just such an intimidating thing, just because of the quality of the writing that you're trying to copy and the intricacy of some of the rhyme schemes. It's an intimidating thing to think of, and I never would have thought of it if I hadn't seen somebody else do that. And but I was at High Holiday Services with my wife and her family, and the rabbi had said something, had been talking about the concept of borrowing, and he was talking about how I wanted to borrow a concept for Rosh Hashanah from one of the other Jewish holidays, I think from Passover, which conveniently enough is coming up, or I guess when this airs it will be winding down.
Yes.
And somehow the idea of borrowing somehow led me to the idea of writing a Hanukkah-themed parody of Hamilton, or of Alexander Hamilton, that opening number. And I started working on it and said, well, who would do this? And, the Maccabees popped into my head just because, they've been the best known of the Jewish A Capella groups for a while, but because I wasn't, they were, I really wanted to work with 613. I'd heard of 613 a few years prior. I went on Birthright Israel, and one of the people I went with actually wound up singing in 613 for a while. So I was familiar with them. I'd been to see them on, they performed at Citi Field when the Mets had a Jewish Heritage Day. And so the seed was there. Those were guys I could work with, and so I, started writing. And then when I thought I had enough, where I had something I felt comfortable showing them, I reached out and said, "Would you be interested in working with me on this? I have this idea for," and I think I was very vague. I think it made reference to the source material cleaning up at the Tonys or something like that. I didn't actually say Hamilton in there.
Right.
But, we've been wanting to do a Hamilton themed thing anyway. I didn't realize that they were going to the White House at that point. It's actually kind of funny how we discovered that. But I had a call with Mike Boxer, who does the arrangements for 613, handles a lot of their business. And actually finding the time to have the call, I was driving back home from picking up Greek takeout. And in my car, we're talking, and I actually wind up performing for him on the phone, some of the lyrics that I'd written.
Okay.
And he said, well, that's great. Can you send me that? And we started working together. And, my original concept was it was just going to be that entire opening number, Alexander Hamilton, and just do the whole thing, which, but they decided they wanted to do a medley and said, can you do something with my shot? So I started working on that, and Mike had some lyrics he'd been working on based on Story of Tonight, and they wove it all together into the medley that you can find on YouTube, A Hamilton Hanukkah.
And it's awesome.
Which they can find, which opens with with President Obama talking about it at the holiday party. And the way I found out about that, I had no idea. And then when they're getting ready to record, Mike sends out, we're working on everything in a spreadsheet where, have the original lyric, have the times, about the time into the song, and what the replacement lyric is going to be. And then they had columns for who was going to sing which part on the recording, who was going to sing which part live. And then there was a third column that said White House. Wait, White House. You guys are going to do this at the White House.
Cool.
Whoa.
Wow. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was. It really was something else, knowing that was going to happen. And unfortunately, they weren't even able to get their wives into the Hanukkah party, which that's what the security was.
Right. A bit of a bummer.
So obviously, I wasn't going to be able to go.
Right.
But
but I mean that's still pretty cool. But beyond.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me was just being my son was born in 2014, so he was 2 at that point, and just being able to show him the video and see his reaction and hear him say he wants to hear Daddy's song.
Aw.
That's
pretty great.
That tops even the White House and the Obamas.
Of course. Yes, I could probably imagine being a parent myself. It's kind of a cool thing, obviously, when you can show your children something that you're proud of that you've done, but especially on that level, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So last what was it? It was the Hanukkah 2018 song.
Yes.
Was Bohemian Chanukah?
Yes, it was. And that was a lot of, I mean, again, a big challenge. I mean, you take on an epic song like that.
Yes.
And, when Mike reached out to me and said, well, we want to do Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah.
That's always a tall order.
It's intimidating, but at the same time, if you know that it has the potential to be something special.
Of course.
And I start listening, I just started listening to it over and over, and little bits of it come together here and there. And I think I think if I remember right, the first word that came to me was in the light opera part, replacing Magnifico with Sufganiyot, which is the Hebrew word for jelly donuts, which are traditional food for Hanukkah. For reasons I don't entirely understand. I mean, I know about frying food in oil because of the miracle of the oil, but I never quite understood what the jelly had to do with it. But knowing that
sure.
And then just other words start popping up around it. I spun a gimel, now I've got a lot of, and just little bits of it come together bit by bit, and just reach out to Mike. Well, what do you think about this? Do you want me to do this concept or that? And just over a period of a couple of weeks, I think, put together a draft pretty close to what they wound up singing. There was a few changes here and there, but
it was pretty great. I mean, it was pretty epic. I had a question about that. So that came out, or did they decide to do that because the Bohemian Rhapsody movie was coming out?
That was a big part of it. Yeah, I think that normally, I mean, certainly when I got started working with 613, there was a definite effort to tie to things that were going to be current. Obviously, 2016 was the year of Hamilton and the
right.
Tonys and all that. And when the first Passover song I worked with them on was a song called Seder Crew, which we did to Ed Sheeran's Shape of You. And, it was astonishing how long that song stayed on the charts, the Ed Sheeran song. Because when I started talking about it, they said, well, is it still going to be a hit when the song comes out? Because they were working on a CD at the same time, and they wanted to... So it was tricky to have a song where they were going to release the CD and the Passover parody was still going to be current, and it just...
Right.
And what we found in the year or two since then is there haven't been a whole lot of big towering songs that are instantly recognizable,
Right.
in a lot of different corners. There hasn't been that big Ed
Right.
Sheeran song. You look some of the things that they did before I started working with them. They did the Bruno Mars Uptown Passover,
Yeah.
or they did the Taylor Swift Shake It Off Hanukkah song, and
Yeah, that's
and
true. I can honestly say, like, now that I'm thinking about it, you're right. There's really hasn't been that song, I guess, that currency that those songs had, but something like Bohemian Rhapsody is timeless. And having it be so close to the release of the movie is even better.
exactly, and that definitely played a part in the thinking, and that also influenced, I think, more when we started thinking about Passover. And there were two different schools of thought about it. Well, what other epic rock songs could we do that would be recognizable, and that would and that we could do with a Passover theme? And then there was, well, what else is going to be going on? And knowing, just looking at a movie release schedule,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about Elton John because the Rocket Man movie's coming out. We talked about Disney's doing all their live action remakes this year. So there was originally some talk about well, maybe one song from Dumbo, one song from Aladdin, one song from Lion King, but then just Lion King became the pick, partly because when you're creating content for something like YouTube or Facebook, and knowing how many different distractions there are, different pieces of content that are pulling on people's eyeballs, you need something that's going to grab people right away. And going,
you're leaning into what's viral already, and everybody's talking about the live action or CGI, whatever you want to call it, remake of The Lion King, which the music is recognizable.
And it beyond just being recognizable, you have that opportunity, because of the way the movie opens, because of the way Circle of Life opens, to take that opening lyric. I think the original language is Zulu, and turn that and to take that from the recognizable opening of the four questions from Passover.
Yeah, that was really clever. It was really great.
Mm-hmm. That really sealed it for us.
Right.
That's what we wanted to do.
So the last one was Bohemian Hanukkah. This is
A Lion King Passover.
And does that video drops?
It's out. It came out. I guess it would be. I had originally heard it was going to be the 12th. It dropped on the 11th. And
okay.
In the first 24 hours, I think it between YouTube and Facebook was over 40,000 views.
That's incredible. That's so cool. And the Bohemian Hanukkah, I mean, I saw that, I saw that shared a million times, and it was so nice and so clever. And then a mutual friend of ours said, oh, and the lyrics were written by somebody from Syosset, which of course, raised my eyebrows, and I'm like, I have to have this person talk on our podcast. We'd love to. So that's kind of where we reached out to you. How many times was Bohemian Hanukkah shared?
Let me see. I don't know about shares. I think
or
the
watched.
views
Sorry,
wound
viewed.
up. I think if I remember right, wound up around 3 million between YouTube and Facebook. Maybe more. I'd have to look at it again. 3.5 million maybe. But yeah, no, it was bigger than anything I've been a part of with them, including Hamilton and
Yeah.
I think we did the Hamilton thing, we did the Ed Sheeran thing, and we tried different things after that. We did a boy band medley for Hanukkah in 2017. Passover in 2018, we did some different TV themes, and I wrote a couple of those, and then there were a couple of those that they did without me, and trying to find the right things that's really going to grab people. You'd never really know when you're getting into it, and I don't think anybody anticipated, even having been through the Taylor Swift one and the Bruno Mars one that they had done before. I don't think you never anticipated how quickly Bohemian Hanukkah was going to take off, and that was going to be on Elvis Duran, and I'm trying to remember where else it wound up, and I think that was the one that made a real fan out of Andy Lassner, who is the producer for Ellen DeGeneres and her talk show and her Game of Games show. And I know he's already seen Lion King Passover, and he's excited about that, and he tweeted it out on the first day that the video was released. So it's nice to have a fan like that.
Congratulations, right. That's so cool. So 613, where did they originate from?
I think a few of the original members got together at Binghamton. They were active both in a cappella and in Jewish life on campus. There's strong.
That's
Jewish
interesting. Sorry, because one of our teen librarians, Sharon Long, went to Binghamton, and she was in a cappella groups. So I will have to ask her because we were talking about it, and she thought that 613 sounded familiar.
Well, I know that Mike Boxer and one of the other, I think, former members, because one of the things about this is that they've, some guys have cycled through over the years and, gone on, done other things and just, had other demands on their time. And, they can speak to their, membership better than I.
Of course.
Can, certainly. But I know the best known a cappella group from Binghamton is the Bing Crosbys. And I think they just call them the Crosbys, and I know Mike was there, and he had also had a Jewish a cappella group at Binghamton, for which he had originally arranged Bohemian Rhapsody with other lyrics, and I don't know a whole lot about that. I just know that he had done that arrangement, so that also gave him the in that he could do it.
Very nice. So beyond this, what other things are you working on? I know you had written a book.
Yeah, I have so I wrote a novel that originally published in 2012 called Robert's Rules of Karaoke. It was with an ebook publisher called The Right Deal that subsequently went under. And it's now available on Amazon. And right now, I'm also trying to leverage some of this notoriety from things like Bohemian Hanukkah, and hopefully Lion King Passover is going to take off in a similar fashion. I don't think anything's going to quite capture lightning in a bottle like Bohemian Hanukkah did, but
you never know.
You never know. But I've been working on some children's books, which has been fun having two kids under 5, and especially my older son Eitan, writing stories for him and seeing, because there's something called PJ Library, which is run by through a couple of nonprofits that send free Jewish children's books out to members of Y's and temples, and we've been getting those, and I started working on some things when they had a new authors contest, and so I'm still in the process of pitching agents and publishers, and also and so those have been the main things. And obviously, there's a limit for how much else I can work on with 2 kids under 5, and job. But I've really enjoyed working on shorter stories for picture books. I wish I had the artistic talent to illustrate myself, but
most of the time they pair you with an illustrator. We have another a patron who I believe one of her books might have actually been a PJ Library book, but she's also written other books. And they pair you. Sometimes I think, from what I understand, authors don't see the illustrations until much later, which has got to be difficult.
I've seen that too. Yeah, it does. And certainly writing this, I definitely have some concepts in my head where I would love to be able to spell some of that out for an illustrator.
Right.
Once we get to that point.
Right.
But at the same time, you look around and you're seeing, well, who represents picture books, and there's a number of agents out there who, if they're doing picture books, only want to work with author illustrators. That they don't want people who, but that's
interesting.
That's part of that's part of the business, and just try to find the right opportunity, and hopefully I'll be able to make that work and sometime soon.
Well, I want to thank you again so much for talking to us. The videos, where can they be seen?
Both YouTube and Facebook. If you find 613 on Facebook, that's spell out the number 6, SIX, and then the 13.
And they're so much fun, and I congratulate you, and I wish you the best of luck, because you're so clever and you've got so much talent. It's just a matter of time before we're talking about your children's book coming out.
We'll make that appointment now, and when it gets published, we'll circle back. Hopefully it's a when and not an if, and I'll look forward to that.
Thank you. So will I, Elliot, and a happy Passover to you and yours.
Thank you. Same to everyone listening.
Okay, we're going to close this chapter of Turn the Page.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.